Hello, Latin AP mostly, but also Latin 3, the tail end of 3, beginning of AP. Here we are with Caesar, Book 1, Chapter 2. Among the Helvetii, Orgetorix, I have professors, friends who say Orgetorix. I tend to keep things in terms of pronunciation. In English, I carry them over. So you'll hear of Orgetorix, you'll hear of Vercingetorix. I'll say Orgetorix. So anyway, among the Helvetii, Orgetorix was by far the most famous and the richest. Either most famous or most noble, most well known. During the consulship of Marcus Messala and Marcus Pupio Piso, and remember, Romans kept track of who was when, and so you can actually work your way back and realize that this was 61 BCE. Led by the desire. Now, I'm going to say, actually, we start to color our language a little. Caesar is a bigot because he's Roman, and nobody's led by their desire. This is a bad guy because he's doing something Caesar wishes he could have done. And therefore, we're going to color his language. It's very similar to professional wrestling. When a good guy steps outside of the ring, he's strategizing, he's recalibrating. When a bad guy does it, he's cowardly, he's sneaking away. It's the same action. During the consulships of Marcus Messala and Marcus Pupio Piso, seduced by a desire for political dominance, he entered into a conspiracy of the nobility, and he convinced and I'm not going to say state here either. I'm going to say we should say tribe, because these are barbarians, these are outsiders, which is really funny because Caesar is literally in their lands calling them outsiders. There was a wonderful episode of MASH where they did the same kind of thing. It was a lot of fun. But Colonel Flagg, I think it was season 5? Quo Vadis. There's a bomber pilot that thought he was Jesus Christ, and Colonel Flagg was... Yeah, it was a good episode. You should check it out. Anyway, but that's for another channel, my Damien Wash's MASH channel. But anyway, so he persuaded the tribe or if you really want, you can say the clan, to depart from their boundaries with all their resources. And now you have, after the colon there, you have essentially, he said that implied, so that's why it's all done in accusative plus infinitive, that it was very easy. Because, or since they, the Helvetii, outstripped everyone regarding their manliness, it would be very easy for them to gain dominion over all of Gaul. So he's like, we should leave and take over this whole place. He, Orgetorix, persuaded them, the Helvetii, this thing to them more easily by means of this thing. Okay, so he was able to persuade them of this more easily by means of this, which is now, that gets us to the colon. That the Helvetii were confined on all sides by the nature of their place. On one side, by the very wide and very deep Rhenum, which is the Rhine River, which separates the territory of the Helvetii from the Germani. On the other side, by the very high Jura mountain range. Now, you could either say it's the very high Jura mountain or it's the range of mountains. I think it's kind of a range, just one big mountain you can get around, but there's a whole mountain range. Which mountain range is located between the Sequani territory and the Helvetii territory. And on the third side, they were hemmed in by Lake Lemanus, which we now know as Lake Geneva, and by the river Rhone, the Rhodanus, which separates our province. Now he's talking about the Romans, and notice he used nostrum there. Our province from the Helvetii. So now notice, like right there toward the end, he's pointing out this is all very much geography, but he's also pointing out the danger here. Okay, the danger is that they're coming toward ours, and I probably have already talked to you about Caesar. I've given you documentation about Caesar, about how he's making the case both to the Senate and to the people, and he's using the same words and it's hitting them in different ways. It's a prism of propaganda. It's brilliant, but he's pointing out it's our province. So this is a threat to us existentially, that these people are going to move. Because of these things, it occurred that the Helvetii, both ranged less widely and could less easily make war against their neighbors. And for this reason, or for which reason, the men who were fond of war were afflicted with great sadness, anguish, regret. They were bummed they couldn't attack more. They thought, considering the proportion of their huge numbers, however, that in proportion to their notability for warfare, that they should, that they had very narrow borders, which extended for 240,000 paces, which is 240 miles, in length, and 180,000 paces in width. And again, that's so it's a 240 by 180 rectangle that they live in, and they're like, we need more. We are fighters. So again, he's giving a geography lesson, but now he's really zooming in. So the first first chapter was zoomed out. Here's the 3 sections. Here are all the people I'm going to beat up eventually. And now he's zooming way in. And book 1 is essentially a tale of him beating up 2 different groups. So anyway, I'm going to hit the button.